నేను క్లాస్‌లో ఉన్నా. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rupa, working as assistant professor in Chevrolet Engineering College. I am dealing the subject Machines 2 for second year triple E of JNTU Kakinada. And today's topic is equivalent circuit of the induction motor in the phasor diagrams and electric problems. So in the figure you are about to see induction motor which is operating as a generator. Okay, so here you see that if you observe the diagram, here, we are taking some ordinary squirrel cage induction motor. This is a ordinary squirrel cage induction motor. This is driven by a petrol engine which is connected to the three-phase line. Okay, so when if the induction motor runs faster than its above its synchronous speed, right? So when the induction motor runs above the synchronous speed, it is called as a, or the induction motor runs as a generator. It is called as a induction generator. Okay, so if this induction motor runs with the synchronous speed, it is called as an induction motor, right? If it is above than the rated, if it is running above than the synchronous speed, then it is called as induction generator. This machine is called as induction generator. So this induction generator converts the mechanical energy it receives into electrical energy. Okay, so it is receiving mechanical energy and this mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy, and this electrical energy is given to the three-phase supply. Okay, so you can see here, this is a ordinary, we are taking ordinary squirrel cage rotor. This is a squirrel cage rotor, this is a stator. Okay, ordinary squirrel cage rotor, and this is driven by the petrol engine. Okay, so this whole combination, petrol engine and induction machine, is connected to a three-phase supply. Okay, so this motor, as soon as this induction machine which exceeds its synchronous speed, it starts delivering active power P. This is called as active power P. Okay, so the electrical energy which is delivered by the induction machine is called as active power P here. See here, from the induction motor, it is going to the three-phase lines. Okay, so the direction is from induction machine to the three-phase lines. So this is active power. Okay, and next other one is there. This is opposite in direction to the P. See here, if it, for creating its own magnetic field, it absorbs some reactive power. Okay, so for the induction motor to produce its own flux, it is taking some power from the source lines, these three lines. Okay, so that is called as reactive power. Okay, so P and Q will be opposite in nature. This P is active power. This is the electrical energy given from the induction machine to the three-phase lines. Okay, and this Q is called as reactive power. It is drawn from the three-phase lines to the induction machine for producing its own flux. Okay, so did you understand between P and Q? P is active power given from the induction machine. It converts the mechanical energy to electrical energy, and that electrical energy is given to the three-phase lines. Okay, this is active power P. And this Q is for producing the flux here in the induction machine. It draws some power from the three-phase lines. That is reactive power. Right? So this P active power is directly proportional to the slip. above the synchronous speed only. This is all the assumptions above synchronous speed only, greater than ns. Okay, so the active power is directly proportional to the synchronous speed, above synchronous, sorry, directly proportional to the slip above synchronous speed. And this reactive power required by the machine, it can also supply a group of capacitors if you connect them across the terminals. Okay, so this arrangement can be used, this capacitors arrangement can be used to supply a three-phase load. If it is a load, we can supply power to the three-phase load through this group of capacitors. Okay, so this arrangement, this whole arrangement can be used to supply three-phase load without using the external source. Okay, external source cannot be is need not necessary to use. Okay, so but what is the disadvantage is the frequency generated is slightly less than corresponding to the speed of the rotation. Okay, so our frequency, our India frequency fixed is 50 hertz, right? So little bit decrease of frequency we are getting. So in between this induction machine and in between the three phase lines, I am connecting three group of transformers. Because these are connected in delta, these can be called as group. Three group transformers are connected. So if you connect like this arrangement, we can give power to a source. Suppose if load, if you are connecting a college here, this is termed as load, right? So I can give induct from petrol engine and induction machine, I can give power to the load, our college, by using the group of capacitors here. Okay, so here we are using capacitors, right? So with these capacitors, with the use of these capacitors, terminal voltage will be little bit increasing. Okay, so here one main important thing we have to remember, that if the capacitance values are insufficient, under values, the generator voltage will not be built up. This is a very important point you have to remember for building up of voltage in the generator. What is the main important thing? The capacitors value should be sufficient so that the induction machine develops the voltage. Okay, so hence we have to take this capacitor. This is called as capacitor bank. This group of capacitors is called as capacitor bank. Hence, capacitor bank must be large enough to supply the reactive power. Okay, so this Q will be supplied by the capacitor bank. So it must supply adequate reactive power in order to develop voltage. Because if Q is not sufficient for the induction motor, it cannot create flux. So if it cannot create its own magnetic flux, what happens? It cannot, what happened? It cannot develop EMF. It cannot develop EMF means it cannot deliver electricity to the load, right? Do you understand? So capacitors here, capacitors are used for supplying Q. What is Q? Reactive power drawn by the induction machine. What is its use? It produces magnetic flux. So by this magnetic flux only, we are getting the voltage. That voltage is only giving to load. That is active power. Okay. So if Q is sufficient, we will get P. Right. Understood? So here P formula is S cos phi and Q formula is root of S square minus P square. And capacitor's formula is as usual, C is equal to 1 by 2 pi Fxc. Okay, so this is the induction motor operating as generator. Here P is the active power, Q is the reactive power. P is the EMF induced in the induction machine and given to the three-phase supply, and Q is the reactive power that is drawn from the three-phase supply for producing the own magnetic flux. Okay. Next one. See here, this is the induction motor generalized as a transformer. That means we at starting I said that this is the induction motor. Nothing but if I convert the transformer into the induction motor, if I make the secondary rotate in the transformer, then it becomes induction motor, right? Okay, so this transfer of energy from the stator to the rotor of the induction motor will be taking place entirely by inductively nature. Avuna? Yes. So the transfer of energy from the stator to the rotor of an induction motor will be induction. For DC and DC generators and motors, it is conduction. Okay, so with the help of flux mutually linking the two, primary and secondary, we can develop the EMF. So hence the induction motor is essentially called as a transformer, with stator taking as primary and rotor forming a short circuited rotated secondary. Right. So this is the induction motor. See here, this is the rotor and this is the air gap and this is the stator. So this is the primary values. V1 is the supply voltage, R1 is the primary resistance, and X1 is the primary reactance. The EMF induced, is E1. Okay, so by taking the source supply voltage V1, you are getting E1. Right? So these are the magnetizing currents and working component currents. I1 is the primary current is resolved into two components, I mu and magnetizing current and working current components or active. Okay, this is by RW and this is by X mu. Okay. Next, coming to the secondary, this is the secondary resistance R2, secondary reactance. Secondary resistance is R2 only. R2 will not be changing. So at the time of running and at the time of starting, R1 will be equal to R2. That means it is not multiplied by S. Okay. So it is not R1 not equal to R2. R1 is different and R2 different, but R1 will be changing, will not be changing with respect to slip S, and remaining parameters will be changing with respect to S. So here S into X2. So this is the ER. This is the secondary rotor voltage developed due to the magnetization linking of rotor and stator here. So the stator flux will be linking the rotor here through the air gap and rotor is developing the EMF ER. Okay, this is the equivalent circuit. And next, this is the phasor diagram. Same transformer phasor diagrams how you drew. This also same. Okay, so from the equations we are able to draw these phasor diagrams, right? So if you, this is also called as a vector diagram. Okay, so this is O, this is 0, this is the reference vector 5, this is the reference vector. First I am taking the reference vector 5. See here, by I am naming, I am giving the steps of drawing the vector diagram. See here, this is the first step 5. Okay, so what are the equations you are getting on primary side and secondary side? See here, primary side source voltage, if you apply the KVL in the transformer here, V1 is equal to what you are getting. See here, from the equivalent circuit I am deducing the equations. If you apply KVL in this loop, in this first loop in the primary, see here the main voltage, source voltage is V1. From V1 only you are getting all these parameters, right? So V1 is equal to the main voltage E1 plus what are the again voltage drops? Resistance is there. So there will be some voltage drop. What is the voltage drop? I1 R1. Okay. So for resistance voltage is I1 R1 and for reactance the voltage is I1 X1. But in the vector forms what you have to say? V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1 plus J into I1 X1, right? Okay, so that the equation I have represented here. V1 is equal to E1 plus I1 R1 plus J into I1 X1. So as same, you have to deduce the next secondary equation. So what is the main voltage here? Secondary equation, the source voltage becomes the rotor EMF, nothing but ER. So here ER is equal to nothing but I2 R2 plus J into I2 SX2, right? So these two are the voltage drops. The main voltage, source voltage you are getting here is rotor voltage ER. ER is equal to, if you apply KVL here, ER is equal to I2 R2 plus J into I2 SX2. So this whole combination is called as impedance. R2, I2 R2 plus I2 SX2 is called as I2 Z2. Here I can write I1 Z1. Okay. So see the equations here. So ER is equal to I2 R2 plus I didn't put. So wait. Plus. Okay. So I2 R2 plus J I2 SX2. I am taking out I2 common. So R2 plus JSX2. This R2 plus JSX2 is Z2. So I2 into Z2. Okay. So these are the two EMF equations in primary and secondary. And this is the no load primary current I naught. It is resolved into two currents IW working component, working current component and magnetizing current component IW square plus I mu square, right? And this is R naught, no load resistance. R naught is equal to E1 by IW, X naught is equal to E1 by X mu. Okay, so these are the equations. From these equations I have to draw the current now. Okay, sorry, vector diagram now. So see here, first what are the basics? What are the basics vectors I have to represent means? First here E1 in primary E1 and in secondary ER. Okay, so first we have to draw the secondary vector diagram. Okay, after that you have to draw primary. So by seeing the secondary only you have to draw primary, right? So E1. Okay, so this E1, see here E1, this is ER. Both I am representing at starting only. So first this one and second this one. So see here ER. First you have to draw secondary. Okay, so see with respect to ER, I have to take current I2, right? Okay, so how will be the I2? This is a inductance, right? So inductance means I will be lagging with voltage. So if I put ER here, where should I put I2? I should put back side. Okay, so back side I have to put I2. So see, this is the I2. This is the I2. Okay, so this is I2. And next afterwards, by I2 I will get I2 dash, right? This is quite opposite, anti-parallel to I2. I2 dash is anti-parallel to I2. This I2 dash is nothing but primary current. Dash here represents primary. So because it is getting, because of I2, I am putting it in primary component. Okay, so this is loaded primary current, extra primary current added because of I2 according to the Lenz's law. Okay, so this I2 dash should be anti-parallel to I2. So as I am taking here I2 like this, quite anti-parallel, you have to write I2 dash. Okay, so the main primary current here in the equation represents I1. This is a combination of I2 dash and I0. Extra added I2 dash and no load primary current I0. Okay, so the vector sum of I2 dash plus I0 gives I1. I0. Again, how I am getting I0 means this I0 is a vector sum of IW and I mu. So I mu will be always in the phase to the phi, and IW will be 90 degrees opposite, 90 degrees angle apart from the magnetizing current. So here I am getting on E1 I am getting IW, and on phi I am getting I mu. So again the vector sum of IW and I mu gives I0. Okay, and vector sum of I0 plus I2 dash gives I1. Okay, so here I2 over I2 dash over I0 over I1 over I mu IW phasor diagrams are drawn. Next see the second equation, secondary equation. ER is equal to I2Z2. That means I2R2 plus I2 into JSX2. So ER is a combination of two voltages. First voltage is I2R2 and second voltage is I2SX2. Right? So see here I2R2. How will be the resistance? How will be the resistance line? I2R2 will be parallel to I2, right? So how the I2 will be located? Same I2R2 will be located. So that's why I am drawing I2R2 on the same phase of I2. Okay, so how the I2 will be there? I2R2 will be there, and 90 degrees opposite I2X2 will be there. So for the vector I2R2, I have to add I2X2. Okay, for I2R2, I have to add I2X2. So I2R2, at the ending of I2R2, I have to start I2X2 line. So this is the ending of I2R2 line, and I have to add I2X2. So from ending of I2R2, I am adding I2X2. How will be I2X2? Perpendicular to I2R2. 90 degrees perpendicular to I2R2. So from here 90 degrees perpendicular I am drawing. So this becomes ER. ER is equal to I2R2 plus I2X2 becomes ER. Right? So the secondary is over. Next, primary. So for E1 line we have drawn before only. For E1 line, what I have to add? I1 R1 line. I1 R1 line, how will it be located? I1 R1 is parallel to I1, the current I1. I2 R2 is parallel to I2 current. Same as this, I1 R1 is parallel to I1 line. Okay, so where is the I1 line? This one. So parallel to this I1, same I1 is located like this. Same I1 R1 will also be located like this. From where? For E1, I have to add I1 R1 line. So at the end of E1, I have to add I1 R1 line same as I1. Parallel to I1. That is parallel to I1 means same as I1. So I1 is located like this. It is angled like this. It is in the inclined position like this. So I have to add I1 R1 also like this. Same as I1. Okay. So I1 R1. And next for I1 R1 vector, I have to add I1 X1. Okay. So for I1 R1 vector, I have to add I1 X1. How will be the I1 X1? The I1 X1 will be perpendicular to I1 R1. Okay. So I have to 90 degrees perpendicular. I have to draw one vector. adding to I1 R1. So from the ending of I1 R1, I have to start I1 X1 line. Okay, so I1 X1 will be 90 degrees perpendicular to the I1 R1. Okay, so 90 degrees perpendicular means like this. So this whole combination gives I1 Z1. So this dotted line is I1 Z1. So we have to add three components. See here, follow the point here, red point. E1 plus I1 R1 plus I1 X1. What is the ending point here? This one. So this ending point gives V1. So from 0, I have to draw the V1 line. Right? So see here, once E1, from E1 I1 R1, from I1 R1 I1 X1. So ending point gives V1. So V1. So this is the phasor diagram of the equivalent circuit induction motor. Okay. Next, if you are having any doubts, please message me. I will, if anyone is having doubts regarding this phasor diagram, before phasor diagrams, transformer phasor diagrams, you draw the phasor diagrams of transformer for an inductive load. Okay, so taking the account of reactive component, resistance drop and reactive drop, you are drawing one phasor diagram. Same phasor diagram is drawn here. No change. Next, see here, now the vector diagram is shown here. See here, the current flowing in the short circuited motor produces a magnetic field, right? This magnetic field will be revolving round the rotor in the same direction of the stator field. So here are some notations. See here, you know that already, but go through them. You have to write in this topic also. So speed of rotation of rotor field, you know that speed is 120 Fr by P. What is this Fr? This is the frequency of the rotor at the running position. So Fr means at the running position means we can put S into F. SF. Fr in the place of Fr you can put S into F. So 120 SF by P. So here 120 F by P can be written as NS, right? If you omit S here, remaining term what you are seeing is 120 F by P. So that 120 F by P can be written as NS. So total equation I can write S into NS. S into NS. So that is equal to S into what is the slip? What is the slip formula? NS minus N by NS. So the total becomes here NS minus N. So totally N is equal to 1 minus S into NS. So the speed of the rotating field of rotor with respect to stator I can write S into NS plus N. Right? That is equal to NS. NS is equal to S into NS plus N. So please go through them. This will be helpful in problems. Next, you will see problems regarding this theory part. You are having in first unit is over. Second unit is half over, half completed. And remaining half will be about theory, crawling and speed changes, variations of speed. So regarding up to these topics, see the problems. So first problem. See the question. First question. Given data, a 4-pole 3-phase induction motor. IM means induction motor. A 4-pole 3-phase induction motor operates from a supply whose frequency is 50 Hz. Okay, so 3-phase induction motor is given and 4 poles 50 Hz is given. So find first one, speed at which the magnetic field of the stator is rotating. That means you have to find the NS speed. You have to find out the NS, rotating magnetic field, RMF speed, NS. And second bit, speed of the rotor when the slip is 0.04. So what is the speed of the rotor? N, capital N. When the slip is S is 0.04. So remember that S given in the problems or whatever it may be, when at whatever it may be, the slip will be less than always 0. If it is given greater than 1, it is a printing mistake. So you have to correct. If it, suppose if the slip is given 4, you have to make it 0.04 or simply 0.4. So it slip will be always less than 1. If you see the problems, you can see, you can have an idea of what is the ranges of the slip. Okay, and next third bit, what they have what they have said to calculate is frequency of the rotor when rotor currents when the slip is 0.03. So slip is changed here, and you have to find out the frequency of the rotor, means frequency of the running frequency, F dash or FR. Next, fourth one, frequency of the rotor current at standstill. So starting frequency. Okay, so see here, first bit, speed, NS. Okay, so NS, you know the formula, 120 F by P. So what is the frequency given? 50 Hz. So 120 into 50 Hz into, sorry, 50 Hz by poles. Poles is 4. So 4. That is equal to 1500 RPM. So what is NS? 1500 RPM. It is the rotating magnetic fields RPM, right? RMF, NS, synchronous speed, 1500 RPM. Second bit, speed of the rotor N. So what is the formula for N? N is equal to NS into 1 minus S. So they have said to find out the speed of the rotor when the slip is at 0.04. Okay, so when the slip is at 0.04, you have to find the speed of the rotor N. So N is equal to NS into 1 minus S. NS is 1500 and S is 0.04. If you substitute 1500 1 minus 0.04, you will get 1440 RPM. And third bit is frequency of the rotor at slip is 0.03. So frequency is FR is equal to S into F. So S is 0.03, F is 50 Hz. So 1.5. And fourth one, frequency at standstill means 50 Hz only. You need not find. Or if you want to find out by formulas, S is equal to 1. So 1 into 50, that becomes 50 Hz. Okay. So second problem we will see tomorrow.